Good. Okay, well, how would you just start off by introducing yourself and some of your background so far in the military?
Okay, well, um, first I want to say that I was born in England, so when I joined, I was not a U.S. citizen. I was a permanent resident alien. And I came in after 1 year of college, and I realized that I didn't have money for school. And I do have family members that were in the military. So in 2003, I decided to join, and I was an engineer, which was 21 Tango then and 51 Tango now. And an engineer is a mix between an engineer and a surveyor. And I did basic training and AIT in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. My first duty station was in Camp Edwards, Korea, which doesn't exist anymore. They've lowered it to Camp Casey, which is more centralized in Korea. Camp Edwards is closer to the DMZ line. While I was in Korea, I met my husband, and then I joined what is called the United States Soldier Show, which is basically for the soldiers, by the soldiers. We go to different duty stations and perform for the soldiers. We put on a music show. We also put up the stage, we lower the stage, and sometimes we get soldiers to come in and set up the stage with us, so some kind of participation, and we motivate them to stay in the Army, want to be in the Army still. And because I remember one time I was performing, and when the soldiers first came in, they were so depressed. And by the end of the show, everyone just lost their mind. They were really having a great time, like it was a huge party or a concert. And so I went to all of the states within the United States, and then we went overseas to Germany, Italy, and Cuba. So then I returned after a year of this and went back to Camp Casey, since they've already closed Camp Edwards, and transferred over to Fort Lee, Virginia, which I finished my tour there. And because my job was phased out due to contracting, I was needs of the Army. So I did administration in headquarters. I did retention. I was a mechanic for some odd reason. I have no mechanical experience whatsoever, but I did it. I changed out forklift tires and all that. And then I did supplies, and then I got out in 2008.
Great.
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm a senior cadet at the Rutgers Army ROTC program. I'm also a part of the Douglas Residential College. I'm a senior. I'll be graduating this May.
Awesome. First question I want to ask you is, what is your overall perspective on war?
My perspective on war is basically that it's a necessity, and it's something that we don't necessarily have a say in. When you have two opposing governments, there will always be some kind of a war going on. Or if they are together, their alliance might be the war in itself, for whatever reason that is. So I've come to the understanding that it has nothing to do with the people, has nothing to do with the soldiers. They send the word down, and then we go from there. So that's basically how I feel about that.
In regards to my perspective on war, I would have to say Operation Security, just because I'm actually going to be an active duty military intelligence officer, and as part of the military, we don't tend to voice our opinions on things about the war or on just political aspects in general, because we want to reduce our likelihood of being, just ragged on about this kind of stuff.
What are some challenges women face in the military, if any?
I think one of the biggest challenges that women face in the military are typically things such as sexual harassment, sexual assault. You hear that all the time in the military, especially with the SHARP programs, the sexual harassment, assault prevention programs that we have going on in the military. So that's a big issue. However, you don't see it as frequently as you would in support units. However, since women are being allowed into combat arms units nowadays, there are actually probably going to be a couple of more issues with that. But overall, there aren't really any physical limitations, because women are just as physically able to do things as males are. So I don't think there are actually that many challenges in the military so far as interpersonal contact or anything.
Well, first the challenge is being a woman, first of all. Sometimes it could be a benefit, and it also could be not so great. And I say that because I remember it now. I shouldn't say this, but we were in the field, and I was having a horrible day, and I did things I shouldn't be doing. I was hollering and screaming and yelling, and I was going to be penalized for it. And so I told my NCO that I was on my cycle, and it was a male. So he was like, "I want nothing to do with that. Fine, you're good," right? So that's the untold part about it. However, as a woman, it's hard because you have to defeminize yourself. So I used to get in trouble a lot because of the certain ways I wore my hair. Sometimes I can't fit it in a ponytail, so it's too trendy, or my nail polish is a little too dark and it's not neutral enough. So those are issues, and also being people thinking that you can't do it because you're a woman. I had to prove myself a lot, because I can be right up there with the best of them. Sometimes I max out my PT tests. There are times when I max out my when I'm on the range. I can carry a weapon just like anybody else. I'm rucking, I run. I'm in B group. Sometimes if I feel like it, I'm in A group. So I have the motivation and the build. And sometimes people look at me and say, "Well, she's a woman. She can't do it." And I'm like, no, don't let this fool you. So.
Awesome. All right. What are some, if any, positive outcomes of war?
Well, I don't necessarily see it as positive in a sense, because if I was a starving person and you would sit the food in front of me and then ask me what's positive about the food, I wouldn't necessarily care about that. I'm just concerned about the fact that you've given me the food, I've eaten it, and I've been replenished. So as a soldier, I haven't deployed, but my husband has. If you were to send me overseas, I'm not going to say, "Oh, well, it was a positive effect." No, he served, he's still alive, he's back, right? But on a higher note, I know that as a United States citizen, which I am now, I can definitely say that I'm in a safe environment. I don't have to worry about my sister getting bombed, or I don't necessarily have to worry about any projectiles going over my house. So in a sense, that is a positive form of war. I don't know if it's because of the war or because of whatever else, but that is a piece of it.
I definitely see positive outcomes in terms of advancement of technologies, because we get new weapon systems, new anti-armor tank or anything like that. We have up-armored vehicles nowadays that can be transformed into civilian use. So I think the advancement of technology is actually pretty good. Not that war is good.
Do you have any advice for young women whom are skeptical about joining the military?
For young women especially, definitely think about it. Do it for your country. Don't do it for any other reason. I mean, if you need school money, you can go for it. You could go National Guard, do that if you want a taste in the military. But if you want to be an active duty officer or just an enlisted personnel in general, you definitely have to overcome a lot of mental and physical toughness. So, I mean, it's really just about patriotism and what you want better for your soldiers, for just the better of the military in general. If you think you can do something for the military, go for it, because you never know, you may like it.
Don't be skeptical. Anybody can join the military or any form of the military. I saw one young lady, she was fairly short. I think she met the minimum height, and she was Marines. And she was right along with the guys who were 250 pounds. And at first, when I first saw her, I didn't think that she could possibly do this. Not because she was a woman, but she was so small. And even if she was a guy, I would have thought the same thing. But that let me know that anything is possible. Anybody could do anything. So as a woman, I would say, if it has nothing to do with the way you look, fine. But if it's just things that you cannot control, go for what you want to go for. There's nothing that can stop you.
Great. What has your overall experience as a female cadet at a liberal college been like?
Well, at Rutgers in particular, it was the best experience that I've ever had. And I say this because I've gone to another college that does not support veterans as well. And I went to a fashion school in New York, and I felt somewhat alienated because the program was situated specifically for a full-time student of a certain type. They're young, no responsibilities, that sort of thing. So here, it's very, you can work it to what you would like it to be. The Veterans House, they take care of you, whatever it is that you need. And there are a lot of veterans here. It's very diverse. And also, well, it used to be a military base too. Bush campus used to be a military base. And I stay in family housing, which is part of the college. I stay with my husband. And no other college that I know does that. So Rutgers as a whole is honestly the best thing that ever happened to me.
At a liberal college, it's very strange yet interesting at the same time because it is kind of awkward walking around on campus with your uniform on. A lot of people look at you. There's a lot of people who don't support it, as well as there's a lot of people who now do support the military. And since we have the new Veterans Affairs Office on campus, there's been a lot more support for just the military in general being on campus. However, as a female cadet, it's still a little strange because you're in a predominantly male environment, so no matter what, you're always going to be judged. But the real thing you only have to worry about is just how you perform, how you conduct yourself, your level of professionalism, and just reacting in a professional manner.
Awesome.
That was
literally
phenomenal.
perfect.